Site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrow. I am Anthony Mormino on a precipitously cooler morning than the last couple of afternoons of string. It's probably a relief for a lot of people. It didn't rain. That's the good news, but probably about a 25 to 30 degree drop in temperature from yesterday afternoon.
I've been noticing, you look out and it's the beginning of June and all the lawns are brown.
Yes. If you do not have
overnight rain
sprinkler system, you have hay, and it's not even summer yet. So,
it did feel like summer. It was the last few days.
Absolutely.
It gorgeous.
It's been spectacular. It's probably the greatest May I could ever remember. I don't think I got rained out from any outdoor activities. One time, I think the one time it rained about 5-6 hours was overnight. I don't think we had a rained out day in May.
Yeah, now that you mention it.
That's truly remarkable.
I took a little walk in Saratoga Park last night, right after work. And as I'm walking, there are some guys setting up fireworks. I said, "When's the show?" Thinking he'd say Sunday night, or he said 9:30. I said, "I'll be back." And so I went home, had a little dinner, went back, and I have no idea why they were shooting fireworks, but it was a pretty good show.
Very good. Anything going on in horse racing? Triple Crown is just pushed way, way, way back. And I rumor has it you'll have Scott Shapiro on at the top of the next hour.
Scott Shapiro.
I hope his car gets good mileage.
Talking a little Churchill Stakes today. And for folks who haven't seen, Churchill will shut down operations. They had the conference earlier this week trying to figure out, the situation with the horse fatalities. And it seems like if you read about it, and it seems like just an aberration, an abnormal coincidence of bad luck and bad timing, but they're going to suspend operations. And since Churchill owns Ellis, they're going to move over to Ellis in the meantime. And the rest of they'll run today and tomorrow with Churchill, and then next week start up at Ellis. So we'll see.
One thing on Twitter, one group was asking, why are we running this weekend? Either there's a problem, but there's not a problem. But if there's a problem, why are we running? If there's not a problem, why are we moving? So it's that old philosophy question. It can't rain and not rain in the same place at the same time. So, they got to figure that out. Obviously, Churchill has the Arlington Million being run at Colonial along with the Beverly D and the Secretariat. But, very strange goings on. I have never, and obviously we love horse racing. Santa Anita had this problem years ago, and I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine that it's the track. I don't know. But then Santa Anita closed, did it, and it seems to be better now.
I think you do get, and I have to talk to a statistician about it. I think just occasionally you get this coincidental grouping of that kind of a situation. I think it's probably just the nature of time that'll happen at some point at some track. And I think Santa Anita maybe is a good example of that. They did put in some protocols,
and they changed it. I never
did you read the article though that they're putting in a couple of rules at Churchill?
Wow.
And one of them was, and I had to read it like 3 times, that they won't allow a horse to run back that has lost by more than 12 lengths. And I thought, that can't be right. And I read
some of those are my favorite types of horses.
I read it, and I'm just thinking, no.
The one problem is going to be is guys persevering with horses to stay under the guessing instead of just dropping out of it. That one doesn't bother. One of the, I remember years ago, and when Beulah was around.
On Thursday, Churchill announced 3 new house rules that would restrict an extremely narrow set of horses from racing at the track, including those that have finished 12 or more lengths behind the winner, and those that have raced 4 times in an 8-week period. 4 times in 8 weeks, I get, but losing by more than 12, and I think you're right. That may that's
unintended consequences.
Yeah,
there could be. And the thing about 12 furlong, that's just what I always call the lazy way. Like so, a horse is battling on the lead. They go like say 45. It doesn't matter. The time doesn't matter. But they're battling, and they hit exhaustion.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
The jockey
and then
just
4 horses go, and then
like I lose by 18. But it's the context. It's not like I was trailing by 18. What I was saying earlier about like Beulah, they used to have, when we did Beulah from time to time, there'd be horses that would have like 5 consecutive -0 Beyer speed figures. And I used to always wonder, like, apparently the horse is sound and everything, but not competitive. Those type of things. And you'll remember this, Seth, when they finally had New York bred maiden claiming races, we stopped having the 0 for 50 New York breds maiden special weights. I don't know. We'll see. I feel sorry for the Louisville people because I don't know what they're going to do. They say they're going to. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Is the teller going to commute 4 hours to work 6 hours? It's for us. It's easy. We just turn on the TV. But there are some real logistical.
Yeah, for folks who don't know, Ellis is 2 hours away from Churchill.
This isn't even like Keeneland and Louisville, which I think is like 75 minutes away. That's a little rough, but so Scott has some answers, maybe he doesn't. I'm sure he has some good picks and everything. So
yeah, I'd have him on to talk stakes race.
He's not.
He's not really a track representative.
No.
But
it'd be interesting, Scott. Does your car get good mileage?
When I call him, amazingly, that's how fast news changed. When I got in touch with him yesterday, hey, you want to come on and preview the stakes? None of this was in the air by the end of the day.
Now, here's a question that I think you mentioned. Jay Priffman asked this: could America follow an elongated Triple Crown, the sports media? Well, apparently we can't follow the traditional schedule in the media for it. So elongating it just makes a better horse race for those of us who love it. How is and what's this thing with Forte? Can he run? Can he not run? Some people are saying he's still not guaranteed to be able to run.
And then Talk of the Nation is racing at Monmouth today in a stake, and so he missed the Penn Mile last night. There's a stake at Churchill, I think, and a stake in New York that he could, but because of his situation getting scratched by a vet at Churchill, the entry box times did not get into him getting a vet to look at his workout in time for him to go anywhere with the $100,000 race at Monmouth. But they wanted to get a race into him, so that's where they wound up this afternoon.
So it's the old, almost like Conquistador Cielo, see you in a week. Week to 1 7-day layoff. So, and what do you think? You made it kind of sad, but what was it? 4 races in 8 weeks? When did that become a thing? We complain about them not running.
But at least I kind of get that. The lost by 12. Like I say, there's got to be more to that. That losing by 12 lengths just doesn't.
That's not a good one.
No, that doesn't.
Because there's many horses. I say it on the air to our people. I'm like, there are times I'm watching races. I'm like, run worse. I've already seen what I need to see. And as a pace guy, that happens all the time. You get ground up in the pace, and you don't want the jockey to persevere.
Or you just get a horse who clearly outclasses a field and wins by 10 lengths. I don't think that's saying anything necessarily about the fitness of the second, third, and fourth.
So, I guess when Conquistador Cielo won the Belmont, you people can't run for. You can't run for.
Like I say, there has to be more to that rule. That just doesn't seem. That doesn't seem right. No. Oh, and then so I have Scott Shapiro on today. I also have Tom Lute on today. He's part of the group that put together this National Thoroughbred League that was announced, about a week and a half or so ago. So I thought I'd get him on to talk a little. It's an interesting concept. They're going to start this year in September, and I think have 6 events scheduled for this year. And events is kind of the name. They're trying to pull new people in the game, and so it's going to be a league concept as far as the races and the horses matching up, but they're going to team it up with a lot of events and concerts and whatnot. Sounds like, I'm all
got
for
a lot of
new
run
ideas.
on Twitter.
Of people. It's like, hey, it's a new idea. Let's run with it and see what happens. But yeah,
I'll tell you the idea that I would like, and it could never be. It only has to be modified in one way, and that's is the American Championship Racing Series. I thought was a phenomenal idea. I think nowadays you'd have to cut it from 10 down to 5, maybe even to 4, but to really make, these. I don't know you follow golf, but obviously there's this big golf thing going on in the world right now. And the PGA realized that besides the majors, which isn't under their control, so now they have these 4 events. They call them elevated events, and Jack's tournament this week is one of them, where they basically they play for 150% more purse. They play for $20 million 4 times a year, I think 4 and 5, and Jack's tournament is one of them. And obviously it's, you put the money up, etc. So I'd like to see, what was that, Barry Weisboard's idea? I'd like to see that for like 3 different or 4 different categories, and really just make these 4 or 5 races before the Breeders' Cup, like these golf tournaments, where they're just so much bigger. Obviously, you don't need the 3-year-old boys or the 3-year-old fillies. They're out. But the turf set, sprinting set, and just have these 4 big races a year for big bucks. Like, a sprint for like, 1.25 million, 3 times before the Breeders' Cup, and to get people to run the best to run against the best. So
before the Breeders' Cup.
Well, yeah, I mean, have one like early spring, and maybe it just be 3, because I'm very confident that Saratoga is now the launching pad to the Breeders' Cup. I mean, so you'd probably have to have one late August would be good. So maybe I don't know, but I thought that was one of the best ideas to come around, and naturally it lasted 2 years, and I was the anti-marketing guy. You ready for beautiful Belmont?
Absolutely. And I'll take a look at Churchill a little bit later on.
Churchill at Churchill.
Ed
DeRosa was hilarious, but I think he's serious. He's like, please let the races at Ellis Park be ELP. Sure. He does not want.
Although they say the condition book is just moving over.
Yeah.
So I guess it wouldn't shock me if they hadn't even thought about that.
He doesn't want the form going like.
It would not shock me if they did that. And I wonder who makes that decision.
Well, that's the
and
form.
How it's made.
That's the form.
But New York was calling it Belmont and Aqueduct.
You know what? That's a good question, because I remember back in 2007, I think they ran the Oak Tree meet at Hollywood Park, which is Oak Tree was a
right.
group of people. But I think the form called it Hollywood. I got to look that up now. Yeah, no, you're right. Naira made that, and the form went along with it. But we'll see. I'm interested. But he was pleading, and it sounded funny, but I think he was serious.
No,
please just make it ELP.
All right, let's jump in on this first Saturday in June. Belmont and their opener. We're looking at maiden 20 claimers going 3/4 of a mile.
All right, 1 week away from the final leg of the Triple Crown. 6, 2, 8. My selections in here, and Irish Empress intrigues me here. I've talked often, for years it was maiden special weights to claimers, and there's by and large 2 categories of the 40s and the 20s, and now this runner, after trying maiden special weights multiple times, trying maiden claimers, adds blinkers, drops down. I'm throwing out the turf seasonal debut race, and Irish Empress gets my top. I think Dylan 2-bagger yesterday. I think a 2-bagger yesterday. For second, number 2, Valentina. Rudy Rodriguez runner is my pick in here, making the 3rd start, and then Rudy, who has come alive after a well documented, really, what was he, 2 for 88 at Saratoga or something in that range. And a lot of times we talk about with trainers, because of the nature of condition books and everything like this, But boy, Rudy stayed cold for a long time. So 6-2-8 in the opener.
Yeah, I mean, it was fairly recently that turned around.
Yeah, well, that's the old bar graph. But his was far longer than I anticipated because I was actually, like many people, probably thinking, well, it's going to turn right around after the unbelievable Saratoga. You're like, well, but it didn't happen.
Second race at Belmont this afternoon. They're on the turf for maiden specials, and they will go about 1 mile and 3/8.
So what are your chances that you, and I think this is, oh, by the way, Craig Milkowski finally, like, because his voice is much bigger than mine. He really talked about the timing of turf races. And then he accentuated what I've talked about for years, the complete no faith with the rails. So what do we think about an about distance with the rails up? Should they even post the time? I don't think anybody believes the teletimer. And I've asked this question before. If you have no faith in it, is it better to not post anything than to post something that you have no faith in? I've become a believer, don't post anything, because there's a large segment that don't follow it to the point we do. They look up and they're like, well, it's got to be right. I mean, wouldn't you trust, like, it has to be right. They put it up there. And then has Naira ever pointed out why they're running these about distances after never doing it?
Not that I've heard.
I don't know why they all of a sudden appeared.
No, I don't know.
And we had a new course record yesterday for this. And is there any place I can go look to see, is it short? Is it long? Is it 25 feet?
It's about.
But it might be about, but it's exactly something. Can somebody get a ruler out there?
Well, I can never figure out why Keeneland does 7 furlongs and about 7 furlongs. It's like,
now, but it's stupid, but the about is 148 feet all the time. And that's called, I think, the Beard course, and it probably has some historical. But that asterisk for 7 furlongs is always the 148 feet. So that gives me something. And I've said the thing down at Fairgrounds, right? They run about a mile 8, then they run about 1 mile 16. So there's an exact distance in there. But I don't know. 4.58 for me. I'm intrigued by, there's only 8 in the main body. Clement has, he had a winner yesterday. He has the 9, the MTO, who'd be a short price. But Settling Storm, Robert Evans, I think probably one of Christophe Clement's longest clients. I mean, about as long as I could. I love the debut down at Gulfstream Park right around St. Patrick's Day. Was 16-1. That price has sailed away. Manny Franco gets the call in the second career start. Now, there's more than enough time, not quite 3 months, but if this horse had come back on say 3 weeks later, I'd be looking for the less well angle, but that does not apply here based on the gap of time off. For a second, right next door on the starting gate, 7-5 on the board, Highland Grace. Barclay Tags runner came up to New York and raced well as the beaten favorite, the offspring of American Pharaoh. And for third, number 8, Christophe Clement's third runner, making the second career start, 4, 5, and 8.
Race number 3 this afternoon. We're looking at lower level plain vanilla claimers going the 1-turn mile.
6, 5, and 2 for me. And Musical Heart gets my top pick. This is David Jacobson, who I think, after, stretching out the legs and the arm muscles and everything, has remembered how to win at 30+%. So we got that going for us. What we don't have going for us is 7-2. Number 5, Truculent, is my second pick. I said this, I think, 2 weeks ago, Seth, where Linda Rice has really broken the mold of the bar graph. She's been almost like 25% for 8 straight months. Like, there is no bar graph for her. She is, and she used to be one of the ones in that group, but she's shattered that now, making the first off the $10,000 claim in March, and for third, number 2, Cool Portrait, Orlando Noda, who, it should be noted, is 0 for 14. And I think it's, for me, he is the trainer that actually planted the seed of the bar graph, because I had never really heard of him. He was a young guy, and then all of a sudden he was doing that kind of stuff at Saratoga, not Belmont before when the lights were on. This guy sudden all of a sudden winning races. He's
and you knew when he was winning.
Oh yeah, he is. He enjoys winning.
Yeah,
everybody does.
Very
but
vocal.
Truly enjoys.
And he
very young.
I think you're right. That's when he started to go on people's radar, and he has been the poster boy for the.
He is. I mean, it's like I took a shot with him last week. Because with him I do play the game of like, only the first one you're probably going to get out on, but he is probably the most poster boy for it, because he has spells that are just like, and then all of a sudden 4.
Fourth race today, State Bred Maiden Specials. They're scheduled to be on the grass at 7 furlongs.
And we didn't have turf sprinting, but I've said this before. Paradise Creek, he debuted 7 furlongs. I love 7 furlongs on the wider. I think it's a great thing. It's what the Jaipur used to be. I think they're not as quirky as the shorter ones. I think these are nice events. 5, 4, 3. Snowy evening for David Donk, who's making the 7th career start. But at double-digit odds, the most recent effort was very strong. You see it come back in a week for David Donk. I think this horse is in very good shape with Jose Ortiz. By the way, Irad went over to Penn National and got the money. For second, number 4, Jimmy Bond sends out the runner for the second start of the year. I love the comeback race. If you know Jimmy's work, I mean, he's very patient, has layoff lines often. I think this horse probably came back at double-digit odds. Maybe surprised Jimmy a little bit, and we move forward here. And for third, Spooky Lady, Rudy Rodriguez ran a hole in the wind, going 6 most recently. And I've always wondered, the Beyer speed figures and turf sprints, I wonder if they're the least confident in those. Because I definitely don't believe the teletimer. I mean, these horses run, we had a horse yesterday go 108 and change with the rails up. The rails have been up 35 feet and 27 feet.
I think in general, they've always said they're not as confident on turf races to begin with.
Yeah. And I suspect that they're less so with the sprints, because they just, I mean, you talk about numbers that don't transfer. They don't. I mean, these horses are running holes in the wind on raw numbers. I mean, you never see like a 6 furlong turf sprint go like in 112.
Yeah.
I mean, they just don't. It does not matter the classification. They fly.
Yeah. Fifth race this afternoon. Again, plain vanilla claimers, this time $25,000 tags, 3/4 of a mile.
We have 7 in here, folks, and I am 3-1-6 in Bronx Bombers, who were not last night in Los Angeles. 12 starts. We've never won at Belmont Park, but we've hit the board in 50% of them. And as I've said, if this horse was 7-2, I would not be that interested. But at 6-1 with Manny Franco, this is a significant jockey switch for a barn that doesn't really do big hitting in New York. So I think we're going to get all of the price for second. Number 1, no more talk. You're not getting any price with the David Jacobson runners. That's winning at better than 30%. Jumps up after winning at 6-4, 16 into 25 now. And then for third, Rudy Rodriguez sends out number 6, Airport, 3-1-6 in the 5th.
All right. Before we go to the break, I will give out the Dark Horse Play of the Day, brought to you by our friends at the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga. Again, always tout swinging by. If you're going to take a walk down Broadway, stop in the Dark Horse Mercantile. I believe you will enjoy your visit. Go down the street to their sister store, Impressions in Saratoga, as well. Browse through there. Dark Horse Play of the Day. I'm going to go back to that 4th at Belmont. I'm going to use a horse you didn't have in your mix. I have number 10, Short Shift on top. Second-time starter now in the barn of Christophe Clement. I thought the debut was okay. Had some trouble. Now, I will know The winner was Miss Stones for our friend Roddy Valente, came back and ran third. The second place finisher came back and ran fifth. That doesn't add to the confidence necessarily, but I think that this horse had a little bit of trouble getting off slow in the debut, still ran okay, put a little experience in the holster to move forward from, and now going out for Christophe Clement. I think this one could be very interesting at an 8-1 morning line, and I think we'll get the price as well. So in the fourth race at Belmont today, number 10, Short Shift, is the dark horse play of the day. And again, thanks to our friends at the Dark Horse.
I remember that debut race. Remember talking about it. We had Roddy on top that day. Roddy's horse was a firster also. Yeah. I think David Aragona had really nailed the morning line. It was just one of those races where, you know, you really were going to be looking for an outsider. The three horses that had run, one of them I think was a short price. I think the three that day, and I'm like, that's definitely the type of horse I'm confident looking to beat with a firster. And Roddy got the job done. It was the opener. It was the opener the other day. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, second half of today's action from Belmont Park.
It's been referred to as possibly the best equine-themed gift shop on the planet. Impressions of Saratoga. Impressions of Saratoga, celebrating the Saratoga and equestrian lifestyles. It's your number one choice for Saratoga souvenirs, apparel, and gift shopping. We have gifts for the entire family, and we're pet-friendly too. Visit us online at impressionssaratoga.com or come on down. Impressions of Saratoga, 368 Broadway, downtown Saratoga. Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on, again, this first Saturday in June. We will jump back into Belmont now a little bit later on. Churchill down. So sixth race at Belmont. An allowance non-winners of one other than 3/4 of a mile on the grass.
Maybe 3/4 of a mile.
Is it? Oh, it's about. Yeah.
I think the track record at 6 on the wider is like 105 and change. This is 108. That's like 17 lengths difference or whatever it would be, the old rule of thumb, but about 6'4", 9. And I laugh and I make fun, but I think it's a much more serious matter than laughing about it. Decanter is double-digit odds for Katie Davis in here, taking on winners for the first time. I'm happy to take a chance with this Cantheros, who had a very brief, very strong juvenile career, has turned out to be the type of stallion many would anticipate. Precocious runners, shorter distance. I'm happy to take a flyer, first time versus winners, at 12-1 on the morning line. And a quick note on yesterday, and the horse that paid $48, right, was like much lower on the morning line odds. And this morning line parlay thing that I'm doing is much better than the mutual parlay pricing, I think, for a correspondence of what it should pay.
There was one winner, though, that was much higher on the morning line.
By an outside trainer like that you wouldn't think would take money, was like 12 or something to 1 and got bet.
Yeah.
Was, matter of fact, got so bet, was the co-second choice. and for a
because
quiet
I want to
barn,
say it paid like $7 or $9.
it
and
was
it
like
was a double digit.
I think
yeah.
it was $780, and it was the co-second choice. I want to say third race maybe.
That
Well,
sounds right. I'll try to pull it up
649.
here.
So for me, I have diamond hands for second. Pletcher adds blinkers in here for making the third start of the year. Classic for me, the real good effort off the bench, then a little regression. Now we move forward with Irad. For me, the race goes through number 4. And then Michelle M. for Christophe Clement. New barn, third career start. First one since November off of 2 synthetic tries. One at Presque Isle, one at Woodbine. 649.
Yeah, I'm looking at, I think it was the third. It was Son of an X, right?
Yes,
I'm just,
that's the horse.
I'm just looking here to see
That's
what the
the
morning
horse.
line. I mean, it paid $7.60.
What did I say? 780
And
co-second
The
choice.
morning line was 10-1.
Yes,
Yeah.
that and give the people the connections because I think that's important.
Well,
Like so it's not like
yeah,
it's somebody you would not
Harry.
know.
Harry
That's his last name.
Neville Henry.
Yes.
Neville Henry.
Who is
Yeah.
not a man that gets bet in New York.
And I'm just pulling up here.
What was it, like his
He was at the Belmont meet. He was 0 for 1 all during the current year. Overall, he was 1 for 9. But now he's 2 for 9. Now he's 2 for 10.
well, when people say they knew. I mean, he's a horse that's not supposed to get bet in
Second choice.
co-second choice, right?
Yeah.
co-second choice, yeah.
And I'm just looking. It was a short field, but
Yes, but there were no scratches.
There were no scratches,
And that's important. I mean, that's why
Because
the
then
morning line.
Then you would think.
Yeah,
the morning line
there
made,
was a lot of things going on there. I watch in the afternoons, I kind of put that on. Whether I'm planting marigolds or not, it depends on.
That's what I always say. When the weather's nice, go out, take a dip in the pool, come back
back,
in,
yes.
watch the show, flip a burger, come back
In the right 55 minutes, I only need to see you for 3.
Well,
after the race, I get a little pause. Then, I'm only going to have one race in about 52, 53 minutes, and that's it. You can get a lot done in 47 minutes.
Absolutely. 7th race at Belmont today. Maiden specials going 8.5 furlongs on the grass.
Yes, we trust the distance. The teletimer with the rail at 27. 8-2-4. This is, you're going to have this for 40 years, folks. Chad's a young man. Number 8, redistricting. I would be happy to take the firster at 3-1. An offspring of Kingman. We've talked about Kingman. We scored 2 weeks ago with one. Monju on the bottom side. This is Klarovich. This is a first-timer. Just Irad in the saddle. You're going to get all the worst of it with Price. That's why I'd be happy to take 3. And I was wondering, maybe 3 can stand up because he's most of the major players in here have experience on him. So maybe we could get the 3 being the firster. Cumberland, number 2, is my second choice. Talking about horses with experience. George Weaver's runner is the 5-2 morning line favorite, making the 3rd career start. Real jump up on St. Patrick's Day when going a mile. And for 3rd, Baltazar, number 4, adding blinkers today. For Neil Drysdale, and I have to say, Seth, of all the things in the business that have occurred in my adult lifetime that floor me, the fact that Neil Drysdale, who I think is an exceptional trainer, does not get stock. This guy, he might have scratched a lot of horses because he was so conservative. But, man, when they ran, he's he studied at the knee of Charlie Whittingham.
The Jimmy Jerkins story, I think, is not reflecting well on the game currently.
No.
That a guy like Jimmy has to go over to
I'll tell you a
Arabia.
quick funny story. Years ago, Mark and Mike had a question. I wasn't working for Capital yet, so I called in about if your family income was based on horse racing earnings only, who would you want to train your horses? And I called up Neil Drysdale. If I had to put, this guy was going to put food on my table. They might not run very often, but I knew with Neil, when he put him or her in the gate, I'd feel very confident that I was going to eat. And it's bizarre. Yeah, Jimmy Jerkins, doesn't he seem like he'd be like one of the last ones ever to accept that? Like, no, I'm a New York hard boot.
Yeah. And I'll tip my cap here to Mike Beer, who wrote the closer look notes for this 7th race at Belmont. But I also have redistricting on top. I tilt towards Chad and Klarovich firsters to begin with, but the breeding there. But in his notes, he does note that the dam is a sister to St. Nicholas Abbey. So, I mean, you have top and bottom.
Do you remember when Gary Siaka had Klarovich?
No.
He had some. He had like the second string behind Rick Violet, but I think that's accurate. Gary had some. I mean, we remember when Klarovich was a completely different operation.
Yeah, and this one I'm assuming they probably picked up in one of those European auctions, which has now become
not quite the way they played the game 15 years
pipeline,
ago.
Yeah, 8th race at Belmont today. State bred non-winners have won, other than 8.5.
I'm going to look that up because you have great doubt about that. Maybe I missed.
No, I'm not doubting. I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
I'll trust you.
No, I could be.
I don't remember that.
Maybe it was a different red and white. I'm going 6-2-1 for me. Ormstown is my top pick. I like today's card. I mean, obviously we're all waiting for next week, but we take on winners for the first time. Broke the maiden in the 3rd career start. First time going beyond 6.5 furlongs. Now that's 1 turn in New York. That was May 11th. The offspring of Bernardini was 13-1 on the victory for second. 42 ace. First off the $25,000 claim. 3rd start since the middle of January. And for 3rd from the rail, Linda Rice's runner just got beat at a mile under Dylan Davis, comes right back here at the same level. But I'm high on number 5, Ormstown, 6-2-1 in the 8th.
You're high on number 6, Ormstown.
Yes.
You said number 5.
Yeah, no, he's not number 5.
I like Ormstown as well. And
yes.
I said I will defer to you. I typed in Google Klarovich Siaka, and first thing up, Subordination, a Wikipedia page owned by
an outstanding turf runner,
trained by Siaka.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because they've been in New York for so long, but they were, I think you used to point out you liked how they bought like $35,000 yearlings and things. Yeah. I remember that.
The 9th race at Belmont today,
yes.
The Pennine Ridge, $200,000 up for grabs for that group. I like quite a bit. And they faced off last night in the Penn Mile, but they'll face off again today in the Pennine Ridge. 3-year-olds on the turf.
I was out with Friday night date now that our son is working on Friday nights, who, by the way, passed his road test at first asking yesterday. Dang. So I'll be sleeping in finally. But I knew who the winner of the Penn Mile was. And as I was watching the race, I thought they were wrong. That told me who won the race. 6-8-3 in here for me. Chad Brown sends out the 6, trying to make it 3 in a row. Broke the maiden in the 3rd career try. Beat winners in New York. This will be the 3rd start of the season for second. Farbridge. I'm going to be interested to see what the people do betting, because I could see them going hog wild for Farbridge, who was a big Gulfstream Park runner, just got beat in the American turf, and for 3rd, number 3, 6-8-3. It's a grade 2, which seems high to me, but I think it's a very good horse race today.
Yeah,
very good.
It's competitive.
Very good horse race.
The 10th and final at Belmont this afternoon. State-bred maiden claimers, a mile and a 16th on the grass.
12 in the main body, folks. The 13 through 16 are also eligible. 3, 1, 10. War Prince for Rob Atras is my top pick. I thought the effort at almost 14-1, the most recent, is good enough for me to back. Received the worst of it. Post position draw in the last, receives far better of it today for second from the rail. First time starter number 1. I'm going to guess it's like Hari, right? Matahari. Wasn't that how Matahari was spelled? Yeah. So I'm going to go with Hari, maybe Harry, but I'm going with Hari, Bill Mott's firster, the offspring of War Dancer, who's been a very good stallion. And for 3rd, take me on a Sea Cruise, number 10. It's just Sea Cruise making the seasonal debut. 3, 1, 10.
Got to root for the 4. Our friend Roddy Valente, a homebred in there, so certainly rooting for that one in the finale. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we will shift our attention to Churchill Downs. Nice stakes program today. It was Stephen Foster preview day, or I think that was kind of the title. Now I don't know whether they've changed up the title exactly, because that big day will now be run at Ellis Park. But
well, still preview day.
Yeah, previewing something, but we'll jump into Churchill when we come back from the break. Stay tuned.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falpa. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Alongside Seth Merrow, I'm Anthony Mormino. We turn our attention to the, who thought I'd say this on June 3rd? The penultimate day of racing at Churchill Downs for their spring meet for 2023. Starter allowance fillies going 6 on the dirt.
8, 6, 2, and 4. Cammy Cat on top. Comes in from a try at Keeneland, trying to win at Keeneland, but was claimed out of that. It's a lower percentage barn that we're moving this one to. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But, boy, the horse just seems like in good form off of that win at Keeneland. And the last workout was okay. 9-2 on the morning line. And I think with the scenario here, we'll hold it at a little bit of value. Second slot, Candy Caramel comes up from Oaklawn for Peter Miller off a win. So again, another one that's in good form, seems logical in and amongst this particular group. And Megan's Clara in the third spot. 1-2 back, followed up with a good second. Both of those were down at Oaklawn, February and March, but comes into this with a bullet workout. That bullet workout jumped off the page at me a little bit, and I debated putting this one on top, moved it down, but I wouldn't argue against anybody using this one. Luis Saez on board, who I now think I had printed up to talk to Scott Shapiro. Let me just see if I can look it up quickly. But
I was suspicious of that move, but not because I didn't think he'd beat. I don't know. I just, so maybe I'm provincial. That New York in the spring summer is a more glamorous. I don't know. It just surprised me, but he's killed it.
And I was. As I say, I pulled up this and I was going to ask Scott Shapiro, hey, we're a few weeks into the meet, but now we're
at the end of the meet.
We're looking at, and I would think with a 9-win lead, Luis Saez probably gets it. He's 28. Tyler Gaffleone is 19 coming into today. So you would think he'll come up with the Churchill title.
Yes. On to the second 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and Mares. Maiden Claimers in for 50. Also on the dirt, racing a mile.
6, 2, 3, and 4. Graceful Union on top for Cherie DeVoe. Showed some speed before fading last time on the move back to Churchill at this level. I just think, sometimes you see that little picket fence and they don't get it done. The next time that speed is a little more potent. That's what I'll hope for Graceful Union. Misanalyzed in the second spot. Also dropped into this level last time and ran fourth behind third place finisher Graceful Union. So we'll see if these two come in that order. Again, just a little further up the finishing position ladder. Exclusive Joni in the third spot. This one's interesting. First 3 starts of the career, turf or synthetic. Now tries the dirt today, but another one coming in with a bullet workout that had me looking at this horse maybe a little bit higher up the picks, but I eventually thought, with the experiment on the dirt, I'll put it in the mix, but down in the third spot for me in the second at Churchill. 6, 2, 3, and 4.
On to the third race, Fillies and Mares, 3-year-olds and up. Optionals in for 80. 2X, racing 7.5 on the dirt.
7, 4, 1, and 5. Braganza in the top spot. Another one coming off a win most recently at Keeneland. That was against an allowance non-winners of 2 lifetime. This is non-winners of 2 other than, so still fits in this particular condition, but coming off of that win last time with Luis Saez sticking on board for Eddie Keneally, and with numbers that probably have an edge on many in here. I'll tilt in that direction, but as I said, an edge on many, not necessarily on Scratch Cat. The numbers this horse throws match up with the better numbers of Braganza, but Braganza has the recency of that start and win at Keeneland, whereas Scratch Cat hasn't been seen since last November. Third spot, Badukata. Not sure I'm hitting that one on the head, but 2 for 2 so far. Brad Cox trainee. That won on debut right here at Churchill, and then won in December down at the fairgrounds. So 2 for 2. You would think being lightly raced may even have some nice upside potential. Might wind up being the one to beat. But for me, in the third, 7, 4, 1, and 5.
On to the fourth, 3-year-olds, optional claimers in for $100K, 1X, going a mile.
4, 8, 2, and 6. Scotland on top. Belmont trainee that won nicely in debut down at Gulfstream, then tried a nice rich allowance at Keeneland and just missed as the chalky favorite. I think is set up to run well with a little bit of a stretch out this afternoon, again for Belmont and LNJ Foxwood. Second slot, Cagliostro with a 90 buyer, 2 starts back, just missed there behind Dennington, who I think is a nice runner. But off of that, they got ambitious and tried the Louisiana Derby, showed a little punch early before fading. I'm not sure I'm buying that 90, but I'm not sure I'm buying the poor finish in the Louisiana Derby as indicative either. I think this horse, talent-wise, may be somewhere in between, and I think that in between probably fits okay with this bunch. And then Loyal Company going out for Brendan Walsh and Godolphin. Brendan Walsh having a very good meet. I pulled up the jockey stats a moment ago, but I also had the trainer stats, and Brendan Walsh is among 4 that are vying for the title over the next couple of days here. But this one comes in off a nice win at Keeneland to break the maiden. Should contend with this bunch today. And the fourth at Churchill, 4, 8, 2, and 6.
Fifth race, we kick off the stakes action today. We have 3-year-old fillies in the Regret, 9 furlongs on the turf.
5, 3, 2, and 6. Number 5, Papilio going out for Mark Cassie. Started the career over in Ireland and then came to the United States and just missed in the debut. Followed that up winning the Appalachian at Keeneland and has tried a stakes race here, Kentucky Derby weekend at Churchill, and was a close-up 4th. Throws pretty consistent numbers. Those numbers have an edge on most in here other than Mission of Joy, the Grand Motion runner. I have that one right underneath. I think talent-wise, these two are pretty close. If I was going to look for an upsetter, the Tommy Amos runner, Girl Named Charlie, coming in of kind of a dud in the Edgewood, but it's a dud that has an excuse. This horse did have some traffic, and I think is probably better than that. And given this horse may be better than that, and the numbers this horse has thrown over the past couple of races, a move forward isn't out of the question. And again, if you get a little bit of a price, Girl Named Charlie could be the upsetter in here. In the 5th, 5, 3, 2, and 6.
And one more before the break, a race I'm very interested in. The Aristides going 6.
I went with Gunite. I have a 3, 4, and 1. I've always been a fan of Gunite, and I went back to the King Cotton at Oaklawn. They won that and immediately said they were headed to overseas, the Mideast, and they ran well in a couple of races over there.
I have to say that he ran in 2 races, $35 million.
Yeah, not bad.
And now he's in for 2.25.
Not bad. But it's Asmussen, it's Winchell, and again, going back to the last time this horse was seen in the United States, I'll go with that. Steve Asmussen over the past few years has just become so proficient with these sprinters. But that said, I'm going to root for Bango. Had Greg Foley on the show a couple of times, talked to him by phone, and had him up at Saratoga over the past couple of years. And we've talked about Bango, certainly 10 wins and 17 starts at Churchill. Comes in off a stakes win most recently on that Kentucky Derby weekend. Bango, interesting. And again, I'm just going to be rooting for this horse. Certainly, John Velasquez takes the ride. And Sibelius coming out of the win in that rich golden Shaheen. And the race before that, the Pelican at Tampa was good as well with the triple-digit buyer. So I'm not taking any stand against putting him down in third. I think I could switch these up with equal confidence. As you said, I think it's going to be a fun, only 5 horses in here, but it's going to be an interesting edition of the Aristides. I have a 3, 4, and 1.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, second half of today's action from Churchill Downs.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off Exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at CapitalOTB.com.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to race number 7, back to the turf at 9 furlongs to Audubon.
I couldn't get past Web Slinger. It just looked so good in the American turf last time. 7, 2, 6, and 3. I wasn't totally convinced, and I'm not totally convinced if you want to go in another direction. But, boy, it just looks like a horse that's in good form right now. And off of that latest effort, I had to tilt in that direction. So Web Slinger, number 7 on top. Mendelssohn's March, though, lightly raced, wound up well back of the winner in the American turf last time. But again, this horse overall is very lightly raced with only the 4 career starts, has shown some flashes, has tossed in some okay numbers in the past couple, and maybe with experience being gained, maybe this horse starts to move forward. So I'll put Mendelssohn's March in the 2nd slot, and then Scherer in the 3rd spot. Just going to be interesting. This one's also cross-centered in New York, and so it'll depend on where Todd Pletcher elects to go, but comes in from the Middle East where the horse showed a little ability back in February. Now in the barn of Todd Pletcher. It's a son of Gun Runner. Intrigued to see what this horse does in the first U.S. start, whether it's here at Churchill or back in New York. In the 7th at Churchill, 7, 2, 6, and 3.
On to the 8th, Fillies and Mares is Shawnee, 8.5 on the dirt.
3, 7, 6, and 4. I'm going to put Pauline's Pearl on top. Horse I've liked for quite a while from Asmussen and Stone Street. I just have to admit, I'm not sure she's the same horse as 5 that she was earlier in the career, but I'm looking at some of those earlier numbers and hoping we get to those. This horse won the La Troyenne last year and then followed up in the Shawnee and ran 4th. This year ran 6th in the La Troyenne. So I'm hoping maybe we flip-flop results as compared to last year, but does have that stakes win here at Churchill. And again, I think a talented runner overall. 10 exacta finishes, 7 wins and 18 starts. But as I say, the last couple don't necessarily fill me with confidence. I just thought hopefully the morning line, I would like to see it tick up perhaps. I'm not sure we'll get that with these connections and this talent, but off the last couple, I'm not sure I want too short of a price. Hidden Connection in the 2nd spot. This one, on the other hand, comes in with a nice try at Keeneland in the Double Dog Dare. And I think on a best effort belongs firmly in the conversation, and Frost Point won that double dog there. Comes in with a nice 3-race win streak, and certainly is going to take a lot of action off of that. Idiomatic for Brad Cox, I think, is playable as well, having had a win streak broken in the Ruffian at Belmont last time. But some of those prior numbers are good enough. Interesting race. And again, as I say, I'll take a little pop with Pauline's Pearl to find out, should I stay kind of married to this horse that I've liked throughout the career, or is it time to step back as a 5-year-old mayor? Maybe she isn't just the same. But I have a 3, 7, 6, and 4.
On to the 9th, 8.5 furlongs on the turf. 4-year-olds and up in the Arlington.
3, 7, 6, and 1. Classic Causeway on top. They get back to the turf with this horse, and I guess you could debate, is this horse better on turf or dirt? I can go either way. And took a shot with this horse back in the Essex on top down at Oaklawn to start the season. Showed a lot of speed that day and ran very well to be second behind Last Samurai, who ran so well down at Oaklawn this winter for Wayne Lucas. The follow-up in the Oaklawn handicap was a little more disappointing, but just never got to the lead there. I'm not sure with Get Smokin' if Classic Causeway is going to get to the lead here, and that may be detrimental, but comes in off a nice little workout. And as they say, getting back to the turf, I'll trust Kenny McPeak in here. I'll put Classic Causeway on top. Set piece, most likely the one to beat. Seasonal debut in the opening verse, came from out of the clouds to run third. You're always up against it, though, when you're trying to make up that kind of ground. So we'll see what Set piece can do today. And Royal Patronage, off a nice win to start the season at Keeneland for Graham Motion, I think can be a player as well. And then, as I say, Get Smokin' for Mark Cassie, always tough. And it's going to be interesting in the first furlong to see what Classic Causeway and Get Smokin' do. And if they get involved in a duel, maybe that just sets things up for Set piece. We'll see. But I have a 3, 7, 6, and 1.
10th race, 9 furlongs on the dirt. The Blame.
7, 1, 5, and 2. I'm going to put Pioneer Medina on top. The Mine Shaft down at the fairgrounds was very good. A triple-digit buyer, second in the Harlan's Holiday earlier. At the end of last year was also good. So those two, end of last year, first start of this year were very good. Subsequently, maybe a little bit disappointing in the New Orleans and the latest stakes race at Keeneland. I just think on a best effort, this horse becomes very, very tough in here. And I'm going to take a shot and hope we get the morning line 4-1. Rattle and Roll, I liked last time in the Pimlico Special. Kenny McPeak came out of that and said he was going to look towards coming back at Churchill and then look further down the road at Saratoga. So maybe we'll look for that one. But I think the win in the Pimlico Special confirmed with the third triple-digit buyer that Rattle and Roll now has kind of stepped into more the upper echelon after having been kind of a second-string 3-year-old stakes performer. So I think Rattle and Roll is very dangerous in here. I was just a little concerned on kind of the quick turnaround. We'll see how it works out. Santon in the third spot. This horse on occasion throws in a big effort. I kind of think the turf to dirt move is maybe a little bit intriguing for, again, Brendan Walsh, who's having a very good meet. So for me, in the 10th, 7, 1, 5, and 2.
And wrapping it up, we have Fillies and Bears, maiden special weights, going 7.
10, 9, 1, and 7. Zeitlos on top for Steve Asmussen off a much improved performance in the seasonal debut. If we get back to that, this horse is tough. Little prankster off the career debut, put in an effort that is right up there with the top pick. And so I think these two are both very, very interesting. And then in the third spot, American Retro for Ian Wilkes off a couple of nice second place finishes to start the career so far. In the 11th and final at Churchill, 10, 9, 1, and 7.
We can almost say that wraps up Churchill, but they will run tomorrow. Obviously, everything moving to Ellis Park. And he said, what, they're going to run at Ellis Park a week from today?
Yeah.
That'll be they're going to
next week. I'm not sure what the first day is, but they start next week.
So we'll see. Good luck to the people down in Kentucky. You're going to have Scott Shapiro on in a couple moments. I mean, it's not going to be easy for really anybody. The horsemen and, none of it's easy except for, TV people. It's easy for us. Just changes the venue. They get to Ellis a couple weeks early. Obviously, we got the Belmont Stakes coming up next week.
Keep reminding people.
What?
Keep reminding people. As you said, it kind of floated under the radar a little bit.
Well, I mean,
although they've been
really
reports on
needs,
some of the workouts. Mike Welch is in New York, and so I think it's shaping
really
up
needs
to be a fun
Forte
race.
to run because it's.
Well, Brad Cox has Angel of Empires coming back, and Brad Cox has 3 that I think are.
I'm thinking of Rumbauer winning the Preakness, just the ones that just fall into, the ether or something. You just forget about them, etc. But it's, they've turned it into a magnificent card, and it might be the case. I understand the general fan will never see it that way, but there might be 4 races better on the card. Yeah, from a historical standpoint, from an eclipse standpoint.
Mini Breeders' Cup days,
So, a little cooler out there today. So good luck to everybody out there. And we'll see you next week. He stays, I go. Scott Shapiro, Churchill Downs, up next. Enjoy.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.